Hey again, it's me, Josh Steele, from That Thing You're Currently Watching. So I turned 27 recently. So I got this idea from another YouTuber to make a list of things that I've learned during my short time here in this universe, avoiding all of your typical sort of platitudes like if you do what you love, live every day like it's your last, and just fill it up with some more useful things like stop putting clothes on the chair. I'm going to say it again for you and for me when I watch this again while I'm editing. Stop putting clothes on the chair. There is no transitional space for clothes. They're either too dirty and go in the wash, or they go in the wardrobe. It's one I'm constantly reinforcing to myself. Learn about things that you'd usually have no other interest in. From time to time, I'll watch a YouTube video or a documentary, whether it's about animals, history, science, philosophy, whatever. Now what that does is when I'm talking to people and I go off on a tangent about how there's this planet in space that has something called
hot ice,
and it's kind of vaguely explained by science, but scientists still don't really quite understand how that phenomena works.
A planet coated by flaming ice. Although it's 822 degrees Fahrenheit on this exoplanet, its watery surface doesn't evaporate.
Who has the answers?
They think I'm really smart and well-read, when in reality, I know very surface-level things about a number of topics with no real-world use to me. But it's fun. The world's a crazy, interesting place, so do it. Journaling is nothing kind of revolutionary, and I'm sure it's nothing that no one's ever not advised you to do before. But for me, I think it kind of came from being in lockdown one season and just feeling really isolated, and it was like everybody else, it was kind of just driving me nuts. So I felt like I needed a place to put those thoughts down. And then when things got back to normal, I went back to normal. It's something I kind of stopped doing. But in the last year or so, it's something I've gone back to, and it still holds a lot of value to me, man. Just things that maybe I'm carrying around. Things I may be carrying around with me and just want to vent out to myself, or even just like setting intentions for the day and all that sort of thing. I think it just kind of helps, at least with me, give me a bit of direction, and just I think it's good to be able to check in with yourself and also just like sort of evaluate how you feel from the day. Like, why did you react in this way? Could you have reacted better? Evaluating the day or preparing for one. Stretch before bed. This is something I did a lot growing up, with the main motivation being I was just kind of hoping it would make me taller. But on a serious note, athlete or not, stretching is really important to stay mobile, given the sedentary lives we live in this modern day. Nothing new there, but stretching before bed is a proven way to help you get to sleep. And in my opinion, it's just a nice way to sort of wind down from the day. So I heard this from another content creator, creative type here on this platform, and it really resonated with me, so it's something I've been trying to make a conscious effort of recently. A lot of us tend to find that we do some of our best thinking in the shower. That's not by accident by any means. Our brains need time and space to organize all the thoughts and all the things that we've consumed through the day. Moments of inspiration often come from silence. I'm very guilty myself of filling any sort of quiet time or awkwardness just with feeling the need to scroll through my phone, or taking even the smallest walk, I'm flicking on a podcast or music. And now, after hearing that, I try and be conscious about seeking out boredom, not being afraid of that. If I'm sitting and waiting for someone to turn up for 5 minutes, instead of going for my phone, I'll just sit there. Or if I'm going for a walk to the shops, I won't listen to anything. And while these things aren't inherently bad, if we're just constantly consuming, we're not giving our brain any time to problem solve. So yeah, I'm trying to now be a bit more conscious of trying to find space and that intentional boredom to give my brain the time it needs to just do its thing. Learn to be a better listener. This is huge. And I feel like early on when I was younger, I would perhaps be more concerned with how I came across in a conversation than the actual conversation that was happening in front of me, if you understand what I'm saying. Instead of actually listening to what's going on, I'm almost waiting for my turn to speak. It's a massive conversational skill just to be able to listen, and I feel like the conversations I had with people were often better the less I said. So my frame of mind when I'm speaking to someone is almost of that. I try and give them the spotlight, almost like I'm interviewing them, almost like, you don't want to go overboard, but This is good because this is the best way to learn. You already know what you know. Let them speak. You might learn something. Your opinion may change or have way more fulfilling conversations, in my opinion. You don't ever want to do things for recognition. This is a massive trap. When I'm creating content, I'm never really thinking about what's trending. When I'm playing, I'm not worried about all the noise. Where am I ranked? What are people's thoughts on how I'm playing? This, that, the third. Because it does nothing for my performance. It's a little cliche, but you gotta follow your heart, trust your process, and the rest will take care of itself. They'll realize eventually, and if they never do, who cares? At least you were happy doing it.
As an artist, if you like it, that's all of the value. That's the success comes when you say, I like this enough for other people to see it. Not other people like it, so it's successful. That doesn't mean anything because that's other people liking it is out of your control. All that's in your control is making the thing to the best of your ability.
Giving others the power over whether what you made is good or not, or whether you're good enough is just not a very fulfilling path to follow. Sometimes we get the feeling that the day has been wasted, or we've wasted time if we binge a little bit too much on Netflix or play video games for a little too long. Whenever we're doing things that aren't necessarily to better ourselves, when in reality, we're human and not machine. And in my opinion, if these moments gave you joy, then it's not wasted time. And that same sentiment kind of goes with money for me as well. You make money to spend it. You should treat yourself sometimes and not feel guilty about that.
We spent the time we spent thinking about not spending money, spent that time on spending money, then it'd be time well spent.
If you think of a compliment, just say it. Everyone's much better for it. You think of something nice to say, just say it to the person. And I try and take this on to the basketball court as well. I hope my teammates can attest to this, but any opportunity that I can sort of sing praise to my teammates, making a shot obviously, but if it's just little things, just they did a really good job communicating to me on that play, or they ran a lane really hard, I do my best to try and make sure that they know. Invest in how you smell. There's almost no better compliment than being told you smell nice. So this is how I avoid impulse buying and just throwing caution to the wind with my finances, by following number 8 a little too liberally. So let's say I go into a store and I find a jacket, and unless I really love it, I'll usually give it 2 days to just go sleep on it. And if I still want it in 2 days, then I'll go back and get it. That little buffer usually just tells me, if it's something that I'm buying just because I feel like I can, or I really want it. Number 11 kind of helps with this, but I basically just hate having a wardrobe for clothes that I'd never wear. This was a problem for me when I was younger, when I first started getting my own money.
I literally bought every single item in 5 stores.
I've got nothing left.
This can take some time with some trial and error just to find out your style. But my goal at the end of the day is to have just a cohesive wardrobe where a lot of pieces are just interchangeable. Everything kind of goes well together. When I'm getting dressed, I never have to worry if it looks good, because it just does. And isn't that what you want? Isn't that style? You just want to be able to just put clothes on without a whole lot of thought and just feel stylish. Yeah, you just don't want to have to worry, man. We got enough to worry about. Whenever you can, you should go and try and find some time to look at things that make you feel small. It just makes everything feel so trivial, and it's hard for them not to feel trivial when you just get outside yourself and are humbled by the vastness or the beauty of nature. I feel like we're just so spoiled as English speakers.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
We're not really forced to learn another language. Everybody speaks English, or tries to learn to speak English, and there isn't a day that I don't regret not being able to pick up Spanish conversationally while I was there. So yeah, I'm on a journey of still trying to learn Spanish.
Looks like you missed your Spanish lesson today. You know what happens now. Beg for your life in Spanish.
Whenever you go on a holiday, you go somewhere where they speak a different language, you should just try and learn 10 words, man. I think it just really enhances the experience, just being able to say hello, thank you, asking where the bathroom is, just that kind of stuff. And obviously you got to learn some swear words. Whatever your dream is, you owe yourself 15 minutes of the day dedicated to that. Wherever you find that 15 minutes, that you owe yourself that much. I use this for days that I don't really feel like editing, or I don't really want to do something. I just start with 15 minutes If I get started and that 15 minutes turns to 3 hours, then that's just like, yeah, good job. But sometimes it's not there. Sometimes I get started, it's just not flowing. Adobe's crashing, I'm distracted. I just don't really have any sort of ideas or what I want to do with this edit. I just don't want to do it. I got my 15 minutes in. You know, I tried, I showed up, I was there. That's much different to not doing anything. It's always about compounding efforts, you know, you got to show up at the end of the day. We can't wait for motivation to start to do things. Quite often you'll find if you just go ahead and get started, the motivation comes after. I've always had to-do lists, but now I have big to-do lists, and then every day there's kind of like 3 MITs that I have, the most important things, and that's the goal of the day. I'm trying to make sure to get those 3 things done. Once those 2 things are done, if I get more done, whoopee. But if I don't, you know, I accomplish what I needed to do that day. It just makes things seem a bit more manageable, and you know, you can kind of get paralysis by analysis when you see a huge list that you just end up doing none of it and putting it all off and procrastinating. So yeah, just 3 main things that need to be done that day. Attack those, and the rest is just gravy. I think it's important not to let ego or pride get in the way. Pride can often cloud our judgment. I know in the past, like, I've made a lot of decisions based on pride, and that's just part of growing up. I'm not saying in situations, you know, we should be taken for a mug.
Welcome to another edition of Who Do You Think I Am?
Or put ourselves in situations that are beneath us, but I think it's important to learn the difference about when our ego's speaking. If it's your pride that's not allowing you to accept where you are right now, or go down a path that's maybe the best thing for you, but because you wanted things to go this way, your pride's telling you not to do it. Like, yeah, I think it's just important to differentiate, to just be able to differentiate. I think it's just important to be able to differentiate between, you know, when your ego's in the front seat and making decisions for you. It's okay if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, because nobody else does either. Nobody knows what the hell is going on while we're here, if we're good enough. Imposter syndrome is just something that we all deal with at some point. If you're tired, go to sleep. If you getting a little bit of rest today means that you can go harder tomorrow, rest. You can't be your best if you're not well rested. If it's 2 a.m, just go home. Nothing good happens, and you never make good decisions after 2 a.m. This is a really silly rule that I took from How I Met Your Mother, but somehow it was always true. Anytime I ever ignored it, if I stayed out after 2 a.m, something bad would happen. I'd regret it the next day. It's just my rule now. Along with not going out on a full moon. Those are my 2 nightlife rules, even though that's not a life I live anymore. Just wash the dishes, man.
Why won't you rinse your dishes?
You're not going to wash them later, and it's just far easier if you just get it done now. All the stains have had time to set in.
The schmutz dries and makes the dish harder to clean.
Future you will thank you. Just do the dishes. When you're trying to be perfect all the time, you know, you stop trying to make mistakes, and that limits you. We need to be able to explore to reach our potential. You know, you don't ever want to be rigid and holding on to old beliefs that mean you can't ever mess up. You have to allow yourself to mess up. I'm a massive perfectionist by nature. YouTube was something I wanted to do to try and combat that. It's something I knew I wasn't going to be good at. It's something that I knew I was going to fail a lot at. Whereas in basketball, I kind of hold on to this belief, because I'm a certain level of player, I'm not allowed to make mistakes. Or can't miss too many shots, or this or that. But I don't have any of those expectations here with content creation. I'm just out here, mate.
It's only my 3rd day out here.
And has it helped? Yeah, it definitely has helped. I'm definitely not cured, but I think that's just good advice for life in general. Just seek out more things that you're going to be shit at. There are lots of things that go into outcome that are completely outside of your control. So the one thing that you do have control over is your approach to things, and you should put your focus into making your process better rather than the success or failure of something. I like this one so much that I went and put it on my skin forever. Life's a bitch.
Sometimes life's a bitch and then you keep living.
Things that we don't like will happen to us, but it's all a part of the journey. And even more so, rather than just purely accepting it, you know, thrive in it. It's all about really just finding opportunity in situations where we might not necessarily see it at first. It's just silver lining thinking, really. You know, but Love Fate sounds so much cooler. So I used to get really bad performance anxiety, and again, I'm also not cured, but just learning and remembering this like little perspective shift, it just helps a little. Your body recognizes nerves and excitement as exactly the same thing on a physiological level. You know, if you think about when you're nervous, what happens? Your heart rate increases, palms might get sweaty. Or what happens when you're excited? Heart rate increases, palms might get sweaty, etc, etc. It's the same physiological response. It's just how we perceive them in our mind. You know, if you're starting to see the signs of nervousness, you just remind yourself, like, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. Believe it or not, there are things about my job that I don't really like. However, I'm doing what I've always dreamed of doing, like, ever since I picked up a basketball. So it's entirely up to me to find the joy in all of this, even in the things I don't like. Yeah, I'm still really, really bad at this, but it's made a little bit easier just by the fact that I have a camera. So I spent enough money on a camera, I may as well use it. I heard A$AP Rocky talk about this once when he was giving an interview about the death of A$AP Yams. I'll try and find it, and if I can't, then editor me just got lazy. But he was basically just saying that he's not typically the type of person who just pull out his phone and take pictures all the time. But then Yams died. You know, he just wishes he has more pictures of their time together. My friends get together, I try and get a picture of the occasion in some way. It comes out to taking pictures of myself too. Sometimes I don't feel the best, feel self-conscious or awkward taking photos of myself, but I don't think I'll be thinking about that like in 15 years time. It'd just be something nice to look back on and actually have photos of myself and people that I care about. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you, I love you. Take what you want from this list. I'm 27.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Try it on for size. If it fits, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. What the hell do I know? And I'd love to know what you guys have learned in your time on this planet. So leave your wisdom down below in the comments. I'd love to read some. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. If today's your birthday,
Happy birthday.
I'll see you in the next one.